Apparently, for a mere £10 a week, you can adopt a donkey. Did you know that? But for absolutely nothing, you can click the subscribe button, maybe click the bell to get notified when my next video comes out, and then there's at least half a chance that I'm going to get monetized for this channel, and then I might make a tenner a week out of it, which would be quite nice. So, you know, do a guy a favour. There we go. Some idea what it's going to look like now. Starting to feel that the handlebars might be less of a problem than I thought they were originally. Let's get a seat chuck on it and maybe the tank too. Something like a motorcycle. I suppose next thing to start thinking about mounting a rear mudguard. And on that note, so with the structure of the frame welded up, the next question is, got to hang some bits off it. This bit here, two most important bits we're going to hang off it are the seat and the mudguard. Now the important thing is, you don't want any of that hitting the wheel, and the wheel goes up and down. Taking one of the shocks off, got this bit, box section there, cut that down around the spindle, shove that through there. And that's that bottomed out. So that's like 1.5 inches. That's 2 inches. 6 3/4. This is 3/4. So, in the interest of everything, at this point, we want the top of the mudguard to be 1 3/4 inches higher than the end of the frame rails. Shouldn't be the hardest job in the world. We take our excellent made in Asia mudguard. How easy this is to see, but that is quite a big curve that it sort of tightens up, and this is the same curve as the rest of it. So when you fit one of these, you can leave that bit at the back, and have somewhere sort of mudguardy to go, or you can have the curvy bit and have it sit closer to the tyre. I'm in favour of the other option. So I'm going to need a tube to go here. It's going to support the front of the mudguard. I'm going to have to walk something out for that. I'm going to put a tube here. The seat's going to go on top of that. Where's lovely sort of seat? They'll be behind that, so we can tag off of that for the back seat mount. Bear in mind you can always cut it a bit shorter, but you can't never cut it a bit longer. I'm thinking I want it about that length, but I want to keep this end here. So I need to cut about 11 3/4 inches, 300 mil off the other end. Do you work in metric or do you work in imperial? If you're measuring something and it lands on 300 mil, do it in metric, because it's 300 mil. It's a bit of a nightmare trying to cut these square because they're not always square. So if you've got a bandsaw, that's a good option. So it turns out I'm 7-inch throat bandsaw. If you say it to its wide sound, it's just wide enough to cut a 6-inch wide mudguard. Who would have thought it? Anyway, so the next thing to do, start thinking about attachments. Okay, so let's cut that. According to the methodology, surprisingly enough, it fitted, very nearly fit. The first time, a couple of links were far, and it actually fits now. It's a little bit further back than I was intending it to be, but I'm pretty sure that that'll make be enough room to get everything in. You can't really see what's going on. You can see the back here. Those mounts are clear of the that cross tube, so that'll be okay. But this front one, the front one here, is sitting on the top tube. So what we're going to do is drill a hole, let that one drop down through, and I can put a tag on there, tag there, bang, that's the seat bolted on. It's a bit of inch by quarter, I think so, anyway. Might be inch by 3/16, but it's pretty chunky anyway. A couple of bolts drilled through it, piece of inch box section. That was going to be so far from this cross tube that I was a bit worried that the bracket might not hold up too well. So what I've done is I've used a piece of inch square section to provide a solid mounting point. I've made that. It's all going to be covered up. It doesn't have to be that accurate. And it's starting to look quite groovy. That's welded up, it's all cooled down a bit. I basically made these 3 tags to go under the, that's the seat, yeah. And then take the tags, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, well, as you can probably tell, made a bit of progress that didn't get videoed because basically what did happen? Oh yeah, battery went flat on that. So tags to the seat welded on. There's a cross piece here, a couple of tags on it, tag down there. I've sawn a bit off the mudguard to get the sort of length I wanted, and I've chopped the end of the frame off. And I've welded quite a lot of it. So what I'm going to do today is get this tank mounted and do something like this brace tube in here. Probably not going to use what's left of the original one, so we'll clean that out with a grinder and try not to completely make a mess out of everything. Okay, not strictly speaking the first thing to do, but you want a leveled bike, you can use a spare level. I've got an electronic one, so I'll put that on there, and it tells me lies is what it tells me. That needs to be parallel to the casting lines, which is giving me 0.03 of degree out. So I'll take this piece of steel and I'll lean the thing over and attempt to stick this under the centre stand without knocking everything on the floor. Of course, moving it around too much went up. Let's see what that says. Christ alive. Oh. So, just repeating that process until the bike's level. Right, so that's leveled off now. There's no holes in the tank. And the other problem you've got is that the tabs on the tank aren't necessarily welded on level, because they're welded on by a guy who's on piecework in a factory in China. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the middle of the tag, and then we're going to drill a hole in the tag. Now that the bike's level, we're going to put the tank back on it. We're going to find the level of the tank up, and then we're going to mark the frame through the holes that were drilled in the tag. If you see what I mean. Okay, this is a pair of dividers. Well, it's actually a pair of calipers, but if it was in a geometry set, we'd call it a pair of dividers. If I take this piece of steel, I can take a guess at where the middle of it is and adjust the dividers to that setting. Then if I move I can scribe in this Sharpie stuff here. There are 2 lines there, and there's a gap between them. It's because people aren't very good at guessing stuff. So if I got that right within 10%, If I now guess the distance between the middle of those two, I would probably get that right within 10% as well. So let me just, that's a bit too wide, so, and I can have another go. And that's pretty much on the ball. So I can do the same thing on these tags on this tank, which scribble them up with a Sharpie, scribe it, guess it, fiddle it, there we go. There's got a mark in the middle, that end. I've got the Sharpie on this end yet. Alright. Now the only snag with these is what I would normally do is place the hole that distance from the end, but that brings the hole too near the tank. So we have to pick a distance for that. Scribe the other end. Throw the Sharpie on the floor. Then if I put that on there and try and stamp it, punch it, it's not being massively happy. So if I get a bit of tube to go under it, which by a genuine coincidence is the right size. Well, right, the only thing I need to do now is go find a hammer. So I'll just use a step drill for this in the punch mark. There is one thing I'd say about this. Even if you're right-handed, do it with the tag on the left, because that way when it picks up, the tank swings around and hits you in the belly. It doesn't leap off the table and put a dent in your new expensive custom tank. Right, let's knock that out for the next size. See about 8 bolts is they're mysterious and disappear. Right, and that, as you can see, looks like it belongs in the hole. Oh, push. Again, from experience, ain't that common. Well, on the front, I've remarked it, and I've marked it on underneath so I can get that angle on it. So I'm going to put a bit of wood on the surface plate, and it's not. What I might do is go and find a glamorous assistant. Hold on. So, hence the glamorous assistant, keep the tank dent free. So, again, that looks nicely placed. Bolt go in. It's a decent distance from the tank. That's that problem solved. That down there is telling us that's level. It's easy enough to put a bubble on the tank. You have to watch that. I keep walking around. If you do this, it's going to tell you lies, so you have to make sure it's square. The biggest problem at the moment is this, because that back bracket will wander around on the frame. So we need to do something about that. So there's a square piece of metal, sharp edges. Spirit level. What I'm going to do is put it on the top tube, and I'm going to eye it up so that the bubble is in the middle, and then if I drag it down the frame, and slowly come back here and have another go, and that leaves me a line. It tells me it's the middle of the top tube, so that back bracket, which is wibbly wobbly on the frame, I can put that on there and I can move it across the frame until that line is in the middle of the hole. So, tank on frame. So full lock. You know the handlebars here, tank. 2. So the next thing I'll do is set to punch those and drill the frame. Blankets obviously there to keep the swarf out of anything that didn't ought to be swarfed. Brilliant technical description there. Get quick eyeball. Right. Now the trouble with drilling holes in tubes is because it's so much to crack. The second thing is, it doesn't really matter how fat the tube is. If you do the bowl up tight enough, it will crush the tube, which makes things a bit more feeble than you want them. So we need a solution to that. Right, so this is a bit of a 1/2 inch OD tube with this a little over a 1/16 wall. So basically the upshot of it is the hole at the middle takes an 8mm bolt. So we've got to drill the holes in the frame out to 1/2 inch. So this sits in there, then it gets welded around the top. So we countersink the top, weld it, grind it off flush. The curved bracket from the tank sits on there. We leave a bit sticking at the bottom. Thank you very much, Bert. And the bolt sits against the flat face at the bottom. So there's the 1/2 inch drill, and I can get on with that. They're all drilled, tubes drilled in, driven in. And like I said, the idea is you want this flush once it's welded and ground off. Because the tags on the tank are curved, so when it sits over like that, and we can make a thicker, we can make a washer out of a piece of aluminium and curve file the bottom to fit on the tags. But there you go. As you see, there's a certain amount of slack in there, but once it's tightened up, it'll all stay where it's put, and it's level in that plane. So that's how that gets done. Next trick, stop the steering head from falling off. So there we go, tank mounted tube. It's all taped in place at the moment. Basically, when I'm not so knackered, I'm going to tack it in place and make sure the rocker box comes off, because that's like fairly essential. Zooming out far too rapidly, you got some idea what the thing's starting to look like. And somebody wants to talk to me, but that's very nice for them. So let's get a little bit closer, step over so much rubbish. Oh God. Right. Yeah. Get over it a bit more. It's all run out of room now, but turn the camera. You get some sort of idea what's going on there. So the next thing to concern myself with is fit some electrics in here so that we can make it go again. So at that point, I think we'll leave that, we'll call that a day. So take care of yourselves, see you in the next one.